How to set yourself up for recruiting success. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, episode number 180. Welcome to the longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. I'm Jon Fugler, athletic scholarship coach and a dad of 2 scholarship athletes. I'm the CEO of Recruit Me, a podcaster, author, and speaker. This podcast is 15 minutes that will change your scholarship future. So I dig in, I give you takeaways you can use immediately. And our sponsor of this episode is the Athletic Scholarship Recruiting Planner and Journal for high school athletes and parents, your personal go-to resource for a successful recruiting experience. We are just days away from releasing this and getting you on the right road for most of 2020 and beyond. I'm excited about this. As I've mentioned before, I've seen the proofs of it. We're putting the final touches on it. Had a couple things that I wanted to improve before we released it, but I'll let you know when it's available on Amazon. It's going to be a groundbreaking publication, a groundbreaking tool for recruiting. I'm very excited about that. In this episode, it's part 2 of our series on planning, getting your plan of action going. As you know, action produces traction, but without a plan, though, the action can be a mess. And we want you to have traction going towards a goal, going toward that athletic scholarship. Last week, we talked about the 5 self-assessment questions every sports family needs to answer, and I encourage you to go back and listen to that. This will lay the foundation and set you up. That was planning part 1. One of those questions was this. What are my 3 greatest athletic strengths? And off the top of your head, asking that question. If you did that last week, and I had some people who emailed me with the homework assignment that I gave you, and as you listen to the episode, you'll hear what that is. But if you did that exercise last week, 3 greatest athletic strengths, well, thank you for doing that. You're only helping yourself out. That's just one question. I got 4 more that are part of the self-assessment that I encourage you to take and get that done, lay the foundation, get out of the starting blocks with that. So go listen to episode number 179. But this week, we're going to talk about how to set you up for recruiting success. A little heart-to-heart here as we get going. If you're serious about this, if you're not just dabbling in recruiting, you're kind of wishing and hoping that your kid will get an athletic scholarship, or if you're the athlete, you got this dream and you're not really willing to work at it, please just shut this off and don't pursue the scholarship, because it's going to take a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. If you're serious, you'll do the things that I'll be sharing with you this week. You'll do the things that I shared last week. This is a big deal. Athletic scholarships cost schools a lot of money. They're not just going to hand out money. They want athletes who are committed to their programs, talented athletes. They want athletes that are serious about their sport, serious about college, not just athletics, but academics. They really want athletes who are taking this whole college sports experience, college academic experience seriously. And I'm looking for families who are taking the recruiting thing seriously. Okay? That's just want to lay that out to you. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. Athletic scholarships aren't just going to show up at the front door. Coaches aren't just going to call. They're not going to show up at your games, at your meets, at your matches. They just aren't. There are things you have to do to cause that to happen. So action produces traction. Action with a plan produces the right traction and gets results. And if you're serious, you're going to do this thing called planning. You're going to develop a plan of action. I've talked about the recruiting framework. Go back and listen to December's episodes. Just a few episodes ago, I talked about the recruiting framework, the 4 pieces of the framework: top, bottom, left, right, and planning is that 4th one I talked about. but go listen to the other 3. You've got to have a framework. You got to have a plan. And planning, I'll tell you, is not as exciting as playing. You've got to have the plan before you can play. It's so important. Take it seriously. It's part of taking the whole recruiting process seriously. So have a plan and then take action. Action's indispensable. But planning and action are like 2 wings of an airplane. You got to have both of them. If you don't have a plan, you're going to be flying in circles. And if you don't have action, you'll never get off the ground. Let's do it. Planning and action. Here's what I want you to do as you set yourself up for recruiting success. This is the beginning of your plan. I'm going to give you, you guessed it, 5 things. I always give you 5 things, either 3 or 5. I want to make this worth your money listening here. You get what you pay for, right? But here are 5 things you can do. First thing is you gotta have a written list of schools that are on your prospect list, schools that you're shooting for, interested in, that you're competing for an athletic scholarship towards. And if you have a list already, update your list. This isn't a once and for all. Get a list of 20, 30, 40 before the end of this day. Do that. Start that list. Add to the list if you have one already. This is not static. It's dynamic. Let's keep the list going. There are going to be lots of schools. Most of them actually are going to fall off that list for one reason or another. You got to keep a good, healthy list. You got to cast your net wide. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of this process and there will be no schools on your list. They're all eliminated. The list you have at the beginning is going to look totally different than the list you have at the end. But you got to start somewhere and write it down. In the planner that's coming out, one of the first pages is a place for a list of 100 schools. I think it's 100 schools I've got in there. That is the starting place. That's how you set yourself up for recruiting success. Get a list. It's real exciting, isn't it? But you got to have it. Second, and if you're listening as this is released here in January of 2020, set your 2020 goals. If you're listening in September, set your 2020 goals. If you have goals already, hey, high five. That's great. Glad. You need goals. Not too many. You need like 3. Set 3 goals, 3 or 4 goals for the year that you want to hit as it comes to recruiting. These are recruiting goals. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? And it all depends on where you are in whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Be able to set your goals, but make sure you do that. You got to have something to shoot for. And that's one of the other things we have in the planner is a place for you each year to list your goals. I'm a big believer in goal setting. You're a sports family. You know how important goals are. You don't win and you don't get better unless you got a goal. Several goals in order to achieve success. So set your goals for 2020. Write them down. I won't belabor that. I talked about that in our December episodes. Okay, you got your annual goals for 2020. This is going to surprise you. Number 3, set your goals for the rest of this month. It's great to have annual goals, but man, those are way out there. Come on, we can have annual goals and just put off action because we say, oh, I got all this time to reach my goal. I want you to front load it. I want you to start achieving your annual goals right away. Not wait around. Say, oh, I'll get to it. I got time. But compress it. And when you set goals for the month, that compresses it. You're compressing it from 12 to 1 month. You've got goals for the rest of this month, whether you're listening in the middle of January or whether you're listening at the end of April or wherever it might be. Set the rest of your goals for this month. Not just set them, but write them down. And do this every single month. You got to have a target. You got to have goals. Write them down. So you got annual goals and you got monthly goals. So the fourth thing I want you to do to set yourself up for recruiting success. Well, I wish you were here with me right now. This would be so cool to be in the room with you and be talking this, dialoguing about this. I'd love to hear some of the goals that you have. Share those with me, will you, at john@recruitme.com. But I'd love to be dialoguing with you right now to talk about goals and really help you refine those and inspire you to get there. And I'd just like to see what some of the goals are. Okay, back to where we were at here. Here's the next thing you want to do. Okay, this might surprise you too, but you want to set your goals for the week. Yeah, every single week, I want you to set your goals. Every week. Don't take any weeks off. If you miss a week, okay. We all go on vacation. Make sure you're there the next week. Sunday night, you're setting your goals from Monday through Saturday. Would you do that? Would you do that? Go ahead and set your goals for the week. And these are like maybe 3 goals that you have. They could be recruiting goals. They could be academic goals, because that counts when it comes to recruiting. It's huge. It could be some training goals, athletics. It could be communication goals with coaches. This is going to change from week to week, but set your goals for the week. You don't want to have 10 goals. You don't want to have 5 goals. I want you to go with 3 at the most. Maybe you've got 1 goal this week, and that is to get 20 emails out to coaches. And that's your goal. And that's a big job. Having 1 goal for the week is fine. So set your goals for the week. That's the 4th thing you want to do. So you want to make your list or update your list. Secondly, you want to set your goals for the year. Third, set your goals for the month and do it every month. Fourth, set your goals for the week and do it every week. And then 5th, this ties in with setting your weekly goals. You want to log your achievements for the week. Set the goals, and then at the end of the week, look back. And as you achieve those goals, check them off, or better yet, cross them off. We love crossing things off a list. If you achieve your goal, cross it off. If you got partway there, make a note on how you did. Log your achievements for that week. That will help you stay on course. You want to keep that sheet out in front of you that has your goals. Keep it in front of you all week. You're going to forget it if you just write them down and walk away. So make sure you keep that out in front of you all week. Maybe also log in that week is your 1 greatest success, 1 greatest, I guess, failure, you could call it. Where did you not do so well? 1 setback, your greatest setback, 1 setback for the week. And then the 3rd thing is what you learned this week. What you learned this week. And then finally, when you're done with that, I want you to write down up to 3 goals that you'll put on your calendar or on your weekly planner for next week. While it's still fresh in your mind of what you got to do next week, write it down, and then you'll be able to transfer that over to next week's planning sheet for the week, your goal-setting sheet for the week. Now, what I've described there is something that I believe is the core. This is where the action's going to happen. Those weekly planning sessions, weekly goal-setting sessions, weekly accountability. Yeah, you can have annual, you can have monthly, but these weekly things, that's where things happen on a daily basis in the course of a week. And as you'll see with the planner that's coming out, that is the one form that we'll have in the book that will really dictate your progress and where you go each week towards your ultimate goal of a scholarship. That's huge. So as you set your goals for the week, that's when you got to monitor those. Log how you did, your achievements, your setbacks, what you've learned. I go back to the beginning of this episode when I said, if you're serious, you'll do these things. You have to be intentional. You have to treat this seriously. Scholarships don't just happen. Be ahead of everybody else. Be intentional, have a plan, act on that plan. These 5 things will set you up for recruiting success. All right, part 3 next week, and we'll be back at it on Tuesday. Have a great week. Make sure you email me. I'd love to hear what your goals are for this year. I'd love to hear what you think about this whole idea of setting weekly goals. Let me know. Shoot me an email, john@recruitme.com. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.